Before we get started here, don't forget to check out Airsplat.com on YouTube.com. Check out Inside the Mech Box and all the other cool shows like Airsplat On Demand. Some awesome stuff on there. Got a lot of cool gun reviews, a lot of internal gearbox stuff, so go check it out. So, in this episode of Tech Tips, I'm going to be showing you guys how to lubricate an Airsoft gearbox. This is a version 2 gearbox out of my Snowball Barrett M82. Now, I've been meaning to do some work on this thing. I went ahead and put some Prometheus helical gears in here, the triple torque ones, which are very, very nice gears, and they're very expensive, so I hope to God they never break on me. So I'm just going to show you the basics and what lubricants you should use inside of your Airsoft gearbox today. Now, like I talked about in the last episode of Tech Tips, there are a few occasions when you do have to reverse the wiring polarity on your switch assembly. This is one of those instances where red goes out the back and black goes out the front. This is because this is an AWS Raptor FET. Now, there are a lot of different lubricants you can use for the internals of an airsoft gun, but I honestly have to recommend that you only use Airsoft brand lubricants. You can go to your local hardware store, pick up a ton of white lithium grease or silicone grease, or maybe even Teflon grease if you're lucky enough to find that. But honestly, the Airsoft stuff is the way I'm going to go with. Today I'll be using Garter Teflon grease on the gears and the cylinder, and the piston of course. And this is really the basic stuff that I like to use. It's a little thicker, but it does kind of thin out once it gets going in the gearbox. Now, I have a rule when it comes to lubricating gearboxes. Only lubricate the things that are moving. If it's a stationary or static item, then there's really no reason to lubricate it, because there shouldn't be an air leak or just any need for lubrication if it's not moving. First thing I'm going to do, I usually use a small flathead screwdriver or something. I'm just going to start with the lowest gear, put a little bit of grease here in the axle. Keep in mind, this is just how I do things. This is not this is the way you have to do it guide. After that, I'm going to take a little bit more grease, and the place you really need lubricant on the gears is the teeth. So I'm going to take my flathead and just kind of scrape a little bit into the teeth. Now, there are a lot of teeth on airsoft gears, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get grease relatively in there. Now, don't be stingy with your lubricant. Just remember, a dry gearbox is your worst enemy. But, putting too much in there just makes a mess. So keep that in mind. Next, I'm going to take a little bit more grease, put some on my sector gear on the axle here. Like I said, you don't always have to do this. This is just how I do things. I'm going to spin it some. Now, assuming your gears are shimmed correctly and you have enough grease on there to actually see it, you should be getting kind of a swirl pattern on the spur gear there. Might not be able to see it here, but there is kind of a weird swirl pattern on the lower rack of gear teeth here. Next, wow, we're going to take some more grease. That's incredible. And we're going to do the teeth on the bevel gear. Like I said, take your screwdriver and just kind of pack it in there. Now, some people actually like to grease their pinion gears, and the way you can do that is either put lubricant on your pinion gear or put grease in the teeth that connect to it. Now, are we going to lubricate the cylinder head O-ring? There's really no reason to. It's a static O-ring and it's not moving, so it doesn't need lubricant, unless for some crazy reason your cylinder head is loose enough and you've got an air leak there. In that case, I recommend you either get a new cylinder head, a new O-ring, or some Teflon tape. Teflon tape's probably the cheapest. Oh yeah, I've got a Swirl Pattern on here and it works really well. I highly recommend those. Now, some people lubricate their nozzles, and when there is an air leak in here or it's kind of loose, I like to do that. I take my flathead screwdriver and I just spread it around there a little bit. Not everyone does this. Some people think, oh, it's bad, it's really bad. But I do it, and it seems to work really well for me. I get a better air seal out of this, and it just seems to operate more smoothly. Keep in mind, it is a working, moving part. And the last item we have to lubricate here is the piston and piston head. This guy right here is going to be pretty much your point of air seal in this gun. This is going to be one of the main items in the gearbox that can determine your speed apart from the spring. So, grease time. O-ring. Now, be generous here. This will spread out over time. It's not going to all get packed in here. So, use as much or as little as you think you need. Now, I always like to grease the rails of the piston. Like I said, it's a moving part, so you might as well put a little bit of lubricant on there. And that's really the gist of it. Lubricating a gearbox really only has two rules. Just use a decent amount of grease, don't under or overdo it, and lubricate every moving part. I think that's really just the gist of it. I would not recommend using anything other than Teflon or silicone oil or grease in a gun. I don't recommend using lithium grease at all. That is meant for vehicles and stuff like that. You don't want to put lithium grease on an O-ring. Those, I have had shrink O-rings before, which results in a huge loss of FPS. So just be careful on what lubricant you're using. Don't forget to check out Inside the Mech Box as well as Airsplat's other shows on YouTube.com. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Team Kilo23. Don't forget, if you guys need any help or need any tips, I will make a video upon request of simple tips. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.